Good evening and not quite Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's Eve. Thank you for anybody tuning into the stream. We already got a couple of people in the chat. So we got Freedom, New Year, New Gear. Yes, I'll be talking about that later. Joseph says Happy New Year. Helder says Happy New Year. Happy New Year from Hyphen Lou. And Paul Cruz, my brother in Africa, is also here. Steve George says crossfading from 2024 to 2025. It's just a whole bunch of audio stuff. So awesome. Thank you guys for joining. Anybody who's watching this live or on the replay, thank you guys for tuning in. And I kind of just wanted this to be like a retrospective on the year. My kids are already asleep. They're young, so they're not quite old enough to stay up till midnight. They also get super cranky if they don't get enough sleep. And my wife is already doing her own thing. So I'm past the age where I want to go out and party. Never really been a partier. But I thought, I'll just kind of kick back with you guys. And I do have, let's see if I have this. So I have some libations, I think is the fancy word for them. I've got a little bit of Maker's Mark, some Sriracha hot sauce, pub beer from 10 Barrel Brewing Company, and then a mystery flask. And of course my, that brown bottle's water, but I'm trying to remember, hydro flask. So that thing's all beat up. It's gone all over the country with me. So what I thought we could do is, if you guys are interested, we could maybe do like kind of a drinking game. Every once in a while, I'll get super chats, so I'm going to probably crack open a beer. I'm not a huge drinker. I'm really kind of a lightweight. So if you guys want to challenge me, just drop a super chat and tell me what you want me to drink. I'll take a drink of whatever you see on the table. So again, we've got Maker's Mark, Sriracha, pub beer, water. Please say water. And then the mystery liquor in the stainless steel flask. So like I said, I'm not a huge drinker, but every once in a while I'll have a beer. And I figured New Year's Eve, I'm gonna hang out with you guys, and why not? So we'll talk about whatever you guys want to. I have OBS set up for screen sharing. Probably not gonna get super technical, but I want to make sure you guys, especially members, get what you're paying for, and you get questions answered. And I'll be super frank. If you guys end up making me drink too much, I will stop before I get too brutally honest or goofy. And I'm kind of an early to bed person anyway, so I'm not gonna stay up till midnight. Something catastrophic would have to happen, which anything could happen. So who knows? But kind of to start with, let's see. Paul says, what's the sauce for? Where's the chicken? I don't like Sriracha for chicken. I make my own hot sauce. I thought about bringing it up, but it's really spicy. Like the next day I would be in a world of hurt. So Sriracha is pretty mild for me. So that's, if somebody wants to challenge me. I went to Brazil one time for a work thing, and this is kind of a funny story. So I went to Brazil for a work thing, and my goal was to test this metal detector that I designed for a company. I took a 3-year break from doing audio, and I marketed and built metal detectors for finding treasure. So we built one for gold. I flew to Brazil to try and convince these garimpeiros, who are like the gold miners, that this detector could find gold and help them feed their families. So like the third night or so in, they had a big barbecue and a lot of beef. And towards the end, like we had all, eaten. It was really cool. They bring the food out and you kind of just pick at it. Like everybody, you don't get like plates or anything. You just kind of grab it as it comes off the grill. And the big guy, gosh, what was his name? I was the gringo there, and he was like, usually we don't do this, but have you ever had this? And I forgot the word for it. If anybody's from Brazil, there's like a liquor that's made from fermented peppers, and all the other Brazilians, when he said this word, were like, no, dude, do not, like, it's going to kill you. Don't drink it. he brought it out, set it on the table, and was like, you know, just take a little sip of it. And I could tell it was like kind of a test to my manhood, like, can this gringo hold this stuff without sweating, getting the eye sweats and asking for milk? So I did, and then I asked for a second drink just to show like I could really do it. And it was weird. It was super spicy and it was really strong. And after like 2 or 3 little sips of that, I was like speaking Portuguese. So it was very interesting. Anyways, needless to say, yeah, don't make me drink too much. So yeah, we're still in 2024. Paul Cruz is in 5785 and the Roman year 2025. Okay, 6:35 a.m. That's time to make some money. Get out there and work. So the other thing I thought we could do, talk about my plans for the next year for the channel. This YouTube channel has always been kind of like a extra thing. Bill Shep says, how does the lager taste? All right. You've convinced me. So just to prove, I'm actually going to try it. This is, I think from, where's this 10 barrel? Bend, Oregon. So they're just down the road from me. So cheers. It's good. It's not as cold as I would like, but it's a lager. So, you know, the big guys at the pub will drink like 10 of these and be fine. They'll play Shut the Box in Great Britain. One extra. Okay. So, talk about the plans for the next year. The channel has been kind of like it's been like a hobby, I guess, for me. So, just the state of the entertainment industry, things have slowed down quite a bit. And I worked documentaries the first half of 2024, and then the second half I got on some union shows, which it was like after a long drought of not much union work, like little day things here and there, helping out with a couple episodes, or like, you know, doing some ADR cutting, but no like, hey, you're the dialogue editor for this show. So I finally got some of those, and that's gonna sort of roll into January. And then after that, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. The industry is so slow right now that I'm kind of thinking I will have to, if you hear any booms, like there's fireworks going off in the neighborhood. It's really cool. But it does sound a little bit like Fallujah. So I might have to pivot a little bit, and I'm still going to do YouTube videos, but I'm thinking really about I'm thinking about getting my general contractors, you know, CCB, and starting like a little home repair business, because I really like doing trade work, swinging a hammer, you know, doing stuff like that. So that would be cool because I could be flexible. I could still take film and TV work when it comes in, but it's not going to be like me scrambling to just scrape together shows when there's not really any shows to work on, which, you know, there's a few people in the industry working right now, but it's pretty slow overall. So I'm planning to keep doing content. I'm going to keep doing streams and recorded videos. The less I work, the more time I'll have for videos. I upgraded a bunch of gear in my studio. I've got Atmos set up, a 9.1.4 Atmos system that's totally calibrated through an Audient Aurea interface, which is badass. This thing has been really cool. I actually had a support query and they responded back within like 2 days. Like before Christmas, like the 24th of December, they got back to me. So very impressed with that. Sounds great. Converters are good. And the monitor stuff. So I'm going to go through my gear and do videos on like, here's how you set up a cheap Atmos system. Here's the Audient Aurea. What else did I upgrade? Computer is kind of boring to talk about. There was a couple other things. I got an Avid S1. So tonight we're also going to go through the jokes. I have to remember to do that. Please remind me to go through the jokes on the Faderport giveaway. And if you haven't posted a joke as a comment on that video, do it before the night's over, because I'm going to go through there. And whatever joke makes me laugh the most, which is kind of one of the reasons for having a little bit of drinks in here, is because some of them are not great. And so it'd be nice to at least laugh a little bit at some of the audio jokes you guys have posted. And then I'll pick a winner based on the best joke. And then probably like sometime in the first week of January, I will mail out my Faderport. I've got the box right here. I actually found it in my attic. I was doing some electrical work and I found the box. So that'll be easy to pack up and send. So we'll do that. We'll talk about anything you guys want. And I can go over some of the projects I've worked on this year that have been released if you guys are interested. So it's going to be kind of free form and not really structured, which I hope you guys are okay with. So yeah, I appreciate you guys being here, and especially members. Our Discord, maybe I can give you a sneak peek of our Discord here. Oh shoot, that's right, I've got it in my second monitor here. We do have, so for channel members, we have a Discord, and you'll get a question for this. So I kind of know who the regulars are here. It's been really cool, like just the different questions people have and the discussion. So I made this because I was like, I'm kind of, for the memberships, like you get more focus on comments and everything, but like what else can I do? And the best thing I can do is just be more available for people and try to foster discussions. So if you're interested in joining as a member, that's a resource. And I'll probably be, if work continues to be slow, I will also reconsider doing the one-to-one like trainings or whatever, just to try and keep, you know, some money coming in. But like I said, I'm trying not to put too much pressure on YouTube. I want this to be something I do for fun and like out of a good place of my heart versus like, let me get this money, you know, that kind of thing. So, so yeah, that's what we'll talk about. We got some member questions. Let's see, we've got, is Master Nelson, is volume and EQ automation all that's needed for dialogue and music balancing? Balancing, I mean, if you're talking about mixing, then I would say those are always the place I start. I start looking at, like, the very first thing, if I haven't edited the dialogue, is I just look at the volume and see, is it close to where it needs to be, you know, in the room? Does it need to be globally brought up? Is it too dynamic, like words are all over the place? So, excuse me, that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be probably EQ, tonal shape of the dialogue. Not so much like notching stuff out, because I consider that to be noise reduction. So if it's an easy notch to grab, I might, but I really don't like using EQs for notching stuff. Even like every setting I've tried in Pro Q3 and every other EQ, as soon as you notch something, you start to get some phase smearing, and it's very subtle, but when you A-B the bypass, you can hear like a deep notch, you know, something that's shaped like this to take out a generator hum or something, gives you this pre-ring on the words, and it just doesn't sound great. I found that like the isotope dehum in adaptive mode works really well, and an absentia DX is good for hum removal too. But for just, if all you have is an EQ and a fader to ride, you'll be good. You can totally mix an entire film with that. You would ideally have some compression. You might need de-essing, but really, compression and de-essing can be done with a fader. You can ride every syllable, even doing half speed playback, which in Pro Tools is shift spacebar. It'll play half speed, and you can write automation at half speed. So you can bypass any need for a compressor or de-esser by writing the S's down. Just dip the S down, and doing the same thing, like there's a little peak, just ride it down with the fader, or draw it in with the pencil tool if that's all you have. So that's all you need for dialogue and music balancing. But ideally you would have a compressor, you would have a de-esser, you'd have a limiter at the end of your chain, and then noise reduction for dialogue mixing is very useful. And unless the dialogue was recorded extremely cleanly, it's, I would say, pretty much a necessity. You don't really need it, but it does help, because if you take some of the noise out of the dialogue, the music can be more present without it being loud. You can hear it because the noise floor is lower. So Steve George, from my perspective, how you go about marketing to get work if you're represented. So I'm not represented by anybody. I don't have any kind of agent, never been approached by one. I'm a tiny, tiny fish. And I'm in a very remote, well, not remote, it's a rural area far from any kind of hub of industry. But I started my career in Los Angeles, so I was able to make connections and then just stretch them out over, 900 miles. So most of my, hey, I need work stuff is just me calling or emailing or texting people saying, do you have any projects I can help with? And I try to remind them of stuff we've worked on in the past if it's not like a regular thing, like, hey, we worked together on this show. Do you have anything where I can maybe pitch in a little bit? And I try to like know my place. Like I'm an industry outsider. I'm not in LA. I'm not trying to, make it to the top. Like I just want to be in the background doing work, enough work to pay my bills and work on some cool projects. And that's pretty much it. So I know my place and I'm not trying to take work from people who are in LA and are just grinding. Like they're down there in the trenches. Like I'm, sitting back with the artillery, miles away. So I have been cold called by people, a few local people to work on stuff, and then just random people find my information from a connection and they'll call me. But I'm not really reaching out too much for work. When stuff gets slow, I'll start to, bang out an email to people, hey, what do you got? That kind of thing. But I've also kind of entered a phase of my life and career where I'm not super interested in just grinding to work. And if I have enough work to pay for my bills, then I'm like kind of satisfied. And if I go a couple weeks or months without working, it's fine. And I'm also not opposed to finding other things to do for work. So that's a unique thing about me, though. A lot of people want to be just in a lane and they want to stick with it. So if you're that way and you just want to grind and you want to make it to the top and you want to be the man or the woman, you kind of have to be in LA or New York. Maybe Vancouver, probably not Vancouver, not much. Even like Portland, Atlanta, like there's a couple little post houses, but it's not the volume of work that Los Angeles has or New York. Los Angeles would probably be first and New York would be second. So marketing yourself to get work, you kind of need to be in LA, at least to start, and then you can attempt to take the connections with you outside, which is what I did, but it's just better to be in the city with people. So, and Happy New Year to you, Steve. So, Russ McMurtry, Happy New Year's. Glad to have joined the crew. Welcome. Okay. I just literally over the weekend got the Audient SP8 and 16. I'll have to look at what that is. Paul Cruz, I've stopped grinding and I'm working a little smart now. I need to live. Yeah. And also, Paul, the cool thing about that is you get more time to watch your kids grow up and spend time with your wife or your significant other, do family stuff, and you don't feel like you're beholden to your clients. Like I'm cool with stepping away from stuff or letting things go. And I used to get kind of upset, like if somebody I knew got a project that I was being considered for, I'd be like, damn it, I really wish I would have, what could I have done differently to get that? What could I have said differently? Or maybe I need to like fly down to LA for a couple days to reconnect. And now it's just like, you know what? Good for them. They get the work, they get to, put some money in their bank account and pay some bills, and I'm just happy for them. So Bill says he's in Vancouver. Yeah, maybe, someday I'll probably get up there. I got a passport and everything. I could go check it out. By the way, the super chat from Bill that got me to open this pretty good beer, I'd say it's like a B plus, was his third super chat. So thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And really, you guys are the reason I try to do content. You guys keep me responsible for that, and it's had a pretty big impact. The YouTube channel has had a pretty big impact on my life. Not just like I feel like I need to do something every week, but it's kind of, I guess, made me more comfortable talking to people, and also given me some confidence in like doing other stuff, because YouTube is like a different thing. You know, it's not like just sitting here at my computer cutting dialogue or mixing something. So I'm going to say thank you a lot tonight, because without you guys, I wouldn't be here. So thanks again. So while, let me do a screen share. While I wait for some more questions and stuff, I'm terrible at doing like IMDb credits. I'll like, I'll just eventually be like, oh yeah, I forgot to do, you know, my credits for like the past year or two. So there's a couple things I worked on that I can show you. Okay, so Outer Banks, I did ADR editing for the whole 4th season. Every episode, I'm pretty sure. I think I've only added a couple episodes. I did the 2nd season of Lioness, and the 1st season, but the 2nd season just finished airing a couple weeks ago. I don't have Paramount Plus. I need to get it so I can watch it. But I'm pretty proud of my work on this show. So this has Zoe and Nicole Kidman and Michael Kelly and Joe Wagner did a great job. Like, all these people did a great job. Morgan Freeman's in it for a bunch of episodes. And I'm pretty proud of my work on this, because it was like, there was some stage stuff, but it was a lot of location stuff, a lot of gunfire. Production gunfire too was super cool. Like, they had, I don't want to spoil it, but like real weapons, you know, with blanks obviously, but, and it's just cool. Like, it's dangerous, but you know, with a good armor, it's actually probably the safest place to be, because they're checking everything. But yeah, this was great. The 1st season was good, but I feel like the 2nd season was just amplified, and the production sound was I could tell it was difficult, because it's a Taylor Sheridan show, and like the shooting schedule and the locations and stuff were always challenging, but they did a great job recording the tracks. We didn't do a ton of ADR, and I thought it sounded good, and I was pretty proud of my work. I approached this dialogue edit a little differently, where I wanted to keep as much of the texture and movements and like the stuff the actors are doing, because they're wearing like plate carriers and stuff like that. So I tried to save as much of the production as I could. They also had production vehicles, like big military stuff going on. So check out this 1st season, 2nd season. It's all good. I think the 2nd season they shot it in Texas, which was kind of cool, because I grew up around there. So that was one I'm super proud of. There's a show I'm working on now. I'm still working on it. I can't talk about it. But Lift, I think I did actually. I think it came out in 2024. This one has Kevin Hart. And it's directed by F. Gary Gray, and he did something else I think I worked on. But this was fun. It was like a heist kind of movie. And then I haven't added this yet, but I worked on an episode of the Dune show, that's a Dune Prophecy, I think. And then I did, I think, an episode of Atlanta, and I helped out with a couple other shows where I did like a day or two here or there. And yeah, and then I also did some documentaries. I need to add those too. One of the documentaries was called, it's not out yet, but Linda Perry, Let It Die Here. Linda Perry's a singer-songwriter. She was in Four Non Blondes, and then she did her own, so like wrote songs for Christina Aguilera and a bunch of other people. So this was cool. This was a doc done by my friend Don Hardy. And then I'm trying to think of other stuff you guys might be interested in. Let's see. I'm just looking through the chat real quick. Russ says, my girlfriend and I just finished Lioness. Had no idea it was you till now, but it's actually insane. Didn't watch it. That's good. Well, I didn't mix it. I just cut the dialogue. The mixers on the show are top notch. And, you know, I just cut the dialogue. So I tried to dig stuff out where I could, but most of the thanks goes to them. I tried to give them raw tracks. Like, I don't process stuff very much, so. How did you get into this production? It's just all connections, you know people, and then they get you work. Alexander says Lioness season 2, enjoyed the heck out of it. Yeah, the IMDb doesn't get me work. It's just kind of a way for me to remember what I did. So there was another thing, really interesting thing that I got to work on is called, Getting Lost. So this was directed by Taylor Morden, who directed Last Blockbuster, and he's a really good documentarian, very cool guy. He lives in Oregon, so we found out about each other, and you know, he's probably like the best documentary filmmaker in the state, so it just made sense. Like, I've worked on a couple things with him, but I didn't know about, I mean, I knew about Lost, the TV show from like 2004-ish, and so he made this documentary about Lost and the fans and the actors and how it was made and everything, a 20-year anniversary documentary, and I think it's on Amazon Prime, like as of a couple days ago. But I never watched Lost. I was in high school, or I would have been graduating high school when it came out, getting into college, and so I didn't have time for TV. And then he told me about this months before I started mixing it, and you know, then I was like, well, if I'm going to work on this, I should probably check out the show. So I actually watched it. The TV show Lost, I started watching it with my wife. She watched it when she was in graduating high school time period with her stepdad and got really into it. And I thought it was pretty good. It's a little corny, but you know, it was a different time. We were still using flip phones. And I feel like Taylor gets nostalgia. Like, he understands that, and he did a really good job capturing people's passion for the show. Like, people are still into Lost. The one thing I didn't like about, like, the documentary is great, but the show Getting Lost, I felt like it was just all mystery. Like, they didn't give you answers, and it didn't really challenge you intellectually. It was just like, ooh, isn't that crazy? Isn't that mysterious that this thing happened and you don't know why? But it wasn't like, okay, but why did it happen? Like, it didn't answer questions. It was just kind of stringing you along, like, tune in next week. And then it didn't answer more questions the following week. So, but the documentary was very well done. It was fun to work on. And yeah, so that was a couple documentaries. I did another documentary about this bartending program, which was kind of cool. And I'm trying to think of was there any other big stuff? Like, Outer Banks took up a lot of time. Lioness took up a lot of time. Those were like started in May and carried through to like November or October. And then October I started on this other show, which will be on Hulu. So yeah. So that is kind of where my credits for the year landed. The first part of the year was pretty slow. I did a lot of other non-audio stuff. My big hobby outside of work is gold prospecting, so I found some gold, which is fun. And yeah, so we got some good questions here. Master Nelson says, what is the hardest role in audio post-production, and why is it the sound designer? Oh, it's not the hardest role in post-production. I think the hardest role in post-production would probably be the post-producer on a big, properly crewed production. They're in charge of getting the film over the finish line. And so they're dealing with color, online, sounds, like just managing all those, and they always get boned. Like, stuff is late and the composer's not ready, and the color's wrong, and they get blamed for it. So I think that's the hardest role. Really, I mean, sound designer's hard because you have to deal with notes and people, you know, giving you conflicting notes or not knowing what they want, or I don't like what you did, just do something different, which is one of the hardest things to hear. But like, it's fun and it's creative and it's kind of a black art, sound design is, so you can get away with a lot and there's no right thing. If you're really sound designing, there's no like, well, that's incorrect. It's just a matter of opinion. So I guess from that perspective of like managing personalities and managing expectations, it's hard, but the actual work is not that hard. I mean, none of our jobs are that hard. We sit in a chair in a dark room and look at screens all day. Like, it's not like building a house or fighting fires or, you know, working as an EMT. We're super lucky to do what we do. So yeah. Did you ever work on a vertical movie? This is from Elder, I think is how I would pronounce your name. Did you ever work on a vertical movie? Those streaming platforms getting huge in some countries. I can imagine that because of the proliferance of phones, that yeah, they would be pretty popular. And I am interested in the format. Actually, there is one project. I don't think I signed an NDA for it, but just out of respect for the filmmaker, I won't talk about details. That there's one big thing I might be interested in. And like I said, January, I'll probably have work. February, maybe a little bit. And then after that, like, it's going to drop off the face of the planet. I'm going to be back in limbo. So if that hits, then great. If not, I'm hoping to get this other business up and running, which might be fun to document, going from a sound guy to a construction guy running a construction company. That would be pretty funny. But yeah, the vertical stuff, it's cool. Like, it's a different format. I like that kind of thing, you know, where it's like a little bit unexpected. So, let me see. We should talk about, I mean, we could do the giveaway now. That might be kind of fun. Let me go. Actually, if you guys just, let's have a vote in the chat. Do you want to do this giveaway thing where I read the comments of my Faderport video and then pick the winner? Because I can totally do that right now. I need to set this up so I don't. Yeah, we'll sort it by newest, maybe. How many comments do we have? There's quite a few. Okay, there's actually not that many jokes. It's maybe like 30. So this is good. I was debating, you know, do I sell the Faderport on like Facebook Marketplace, or do I give it away to somebody local? But you guys have, like, you know, you guys are the reason my channel exists. So I'm going to give it to somebody who's watched a video of mine. So, okay. Giveaway. So the giveaway is only for US, maybe Canada. If there's any Canadian people that watch this, there probably are. Vancouver. There's a couple people that said Vancouver. So I can't ship this to Mozambique. I can't ship this to Mother Russia. I can't ship this to, I mean, a lot of places, because it would cost me a lot of money. So just keep that in mind, and I will contact the person with the word winner, and then I'll probably say something like, hey, send me, you know, find me on Facebook and send me your shipping address, and then I'll send it out to them in the next week or so. So let's do the giveaway. I'm going to read these. I have only had like 3 sips of beer, so I'm not going to be laughing very much. Luckily, nobody has challenged me to drink anything dangerous. No Maker's Mark, no Sriracha, no mystery liquor. I need a drink of water, though. This is important. It's important to stay hydrated. Ah, delicious. Sweet nectar. Brought to you by Hydro Flask. Okay. Drum roll, please. We're going to go through these jokes. If you like the joke, maybe this is not going to be a democracy, but if you like the joke, feel free to emoji or whatever you zillennials do to communicate that you're laughing out loud. It's fine. And you can say the person's name or whatever if you want to give them props. Oh, whiskey between each joke would be terrible. That would be too much. Like I said, I'm not I can't really handle my liquor. And so that's kind of as a, please don't make me do that, you know. So yeah, I've got my lager. Okay. So drum roll, -Lou, thank you very much. First joke from Isaiah Kendall. Why did the dialogue editor keep watching Inside Man? Because they could always find the hidden meaning in the dialogue. I don't get it. Didn't quite make me laugh. Why did the ADR engineer fail his arithmetic tests in elementary school? Because every time he counted to 4, the actor would start recording his lines. Okay. I'm going to give it a thumbs up, but it didn't make me laugh. Why was the audiophile standing in the hallway with a proud smile? This is from Full 10 Guitar. He finally created a listening room so perfect, even he wasn't allowed in. A sonic sanctuary where silence and sound converge and human presence is the only imperfection. I like the detail of this joke, but it is the same problem with a lot of the Thinking Man memes I see online. Is it just you gotta get to it. It's gotta be short and sweet. So thumbs up, but it didn't make me laugh. A boom up, a utility, and a sound mixer get in a car. Who's driving? The cop. Okay, that one got me. Oh, all right. Let me write this down. You actually got me to laugh. Good job. I'm gonna need a pencil or something. Yes, I'm wearing jammies. This is not a professional outfit here. This is a comfy fat boy pants outfit. Okay. Now, dear novelties, I'm going to say right now, you have made me laugh, sir. Probably, sir. Judging on the analytics on my YouTube channel, probably a sir, possibly madam. Okay, so I'm going to heart that one too. Okay. Why did the audio mixer go to the gym? To improve your balance. Okay, fair attempt. What's this is from GamePiece01. What's the difference between a sound person and a mutual fund? A mutual fund eventually matures and makes some money. That's pretty good. GamePiece. We'll put you at second place. I put it 2 by you. Why was the military kid, now sound editor, so good at ADR? Because they've spent their whole life dubbing over the past. Dubbing. I'm a military kid and I don't get it, so I'm probably just too stupid. 12 OTTs on a row. That's my audio joke. I'm not eligible since I'm from Europe. Too bad, but good joke. You guys get paid. That's funny. I tried routing my dialogue to the rear surround speakers, but it hurt my feelings. It just felt like they were talking behind my back. Snoop Dogg was about to show some kids the studio where he works. But why was he the only one to be able to get in there? Because he forgot the high pass filter on. I get it. I like it. You did 2 jokes? All right. What did the reverb plugin say to a bad mixing engineer? Don't worry, I've got your back and your front and your sides. That was pretty good too. So, funny story. Actually, I've worked on something with Snoop Dogg in it. I think it was like a Hot Pockets commercial or something like that. And then I used to run a studio in LA, very tiny studio in Atwater Village. And at the time I was into hip hop. I had my MPC and my Phantom and like a little production setup. And I had a booth and I was renting this studio out and it was pretty expensive for me at the time. So I was like, I got to pay the bills. And so I would record artists. They'd come in, pay me an hourly rate, lay down verses, and it was just like a revolving door of mostly hip hop, like rappers coming through. So I got used to things like Hennessy being spilled in the studio, and weed trim left on my console. But he would never really tell us like what his connection was. It was just kind of like floating around the studio, like, oh yeah, Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg. And it was like he was his cousin, or he was his cuz, which is different from a cousin, or he was his bodyguard's friend, or something like that. But yeah, it was just it was an interesting time. This is from Valentine. You might be Russian. How does a sound tech say goodbye? Audios. That's pretty good. That's like a dad joke. I like that one. This is not a joke. But I take this opportunity to share my outlook on something near and dear to my heart. Let's just be honest. Get this off my chest. I believe, and this is a little hard for me to admit, that re-recording mixers are actually smarter than sound editors. However, I also believe that dogs are actually smarter than re-recording mixers. That's pretty funny. That's from Paul. Paul's a regular, so I like that. That's a good, I'll just say good one. That's right. Enter doesn't do reply. Okay. What did the drummer name his twin daughters? Anna 1, Anna 2. That's good too. How do you tell how tall a sound mixer is? You don't. They never stand up. Classic. Knock knock. Who's there? Auto who? Auto tune. Knock knock. Who's there? Very. Very who? Very moo. Knock knock. Who's there? E. E who? Q. Pretty good. Please make a video about S1 workflow. Yeah, I'll do that. I've already used it a little bit. I don't have anything to mix right now, but that's not going to stop me. I'll still do a video on it. There's some cool stuff. I lost the volume knob on my stereo. It hasn't turned up since. That's a good one. This guy is shitting on the Presonus fader and then flexing. That's cool, man. I'll just be crying over here with all my bills paid. Why did the compressor fall over? Because I had a soft knee. That's good. Not from US or Canada. Here's mine. Anyways, why did the sound guy break up with their partner? Too much feedback. Good. Another dad joke. What's the difference? This is from Player Gun 312. What's the difference between naturalist painters, impressionists, and the school of socialist realism? Naturalists paint what they see, impressionists what they feel, and socialists what they're told. That's great. It's a little long though. It's kind of like the the memes I was talking about. And I don't want to say like which side of the political spectrum those memes tend to fall onto, the ones with the pages of text on them, but there's definitely a little bit of a tilt to one side, where it's just like, dude, I'm not going to read 10 pages to get to your punchline. But this is a good joke. I feel like this is a little bit over my head because I don't know what all these words have more than 4 letters. So an impressionist, is that the thing where you take the pencil and you scratch on the paper like this and it gives you like the leaf? Because I did that. I think I did that in like 10th grade and that was pretty good. I went to a special school. What do sound engineers say when they leave? Oh, I already read that one. Adam West Batman was the sound designer for the Batman. It was so punchy, bap sock, zap kapow. Geez, I've been working in audio for nearly 35 years and I don't know a single dang joke. Although one of my favorite lines from bands playing to a click track on a session is that click track slowing down. It's probably the tape. How can you tell the sound guys kid at the playground? They're the ones sitting off to the side watching everyone else have fun. Another classic. We'll fix it in post. Good one. How many soundmen does it take to screw in a light bulb? None. Soundmen don't do lights. What do the stylists at Frequency Hair Salon use? Comb filters. That's good. There's some thought in them. Did you say dither? I hardly knew her. The sound from a musician on stage will bounce off an auditorium's walls to surround the audience. The sound from a pigeon does not do this because acoustics. Another classic. What did the authoritarian regime movie get postponed? They kept making the editors conform. I hate conform, simple as, so you get a heart. Why did the lazy Foley editor get fired? They weren't cutting it. Good one. Why did they have to ADR the monster truck movie? Everything was too muddy. Why did the documentary not get nominated for Best Feature Film? It was just too real. You got a laugh out of me. That was good. And this one's nice. The too real one is nice. That's from Young Tessie. Because it's like you'd have to work in the industry to get it. So that's good. That's not a belly laugh one. That's like a, you clever dog. One more. Why does lightning come before thunder? Because even God has to hold for sound. What's the difference between an audio guy and a toilet? A toilet only has to take shit from one asshole at a time. I blew the punchline on that. Sorry, but it was a good one. What's the difference between a sound person and a mutual fund? A mutual fund eventually matures and makes some money. Two wind turbines were in a field on a calm day. One looks to the other and asks what their favorite genre of music is. The turbine says, "I'm a huge metal fan." Alex La Framboise. I don't speak French. That's the best you're going to get from me. I don't even know what that means. It's not even close to Spanish. Never go fishing for lossless compression codecs. You'll end up catching a lot of flack. I treated my room with panels from Temu last week. My mixes got worse, but if I hum just right, I can levitate a stone in the listening position. I should really be doing this with a stick mic so I can like ham it up. 12th December is the International Sound Engineer Day because 1212. Not in America or Canada, but I thought I would hopefully add some laughter. Artist, why is my monitor humming? Because it doesn't know the words. What do you call waveframe sound editors cutting on Pro Tools? Slow tools. What do you call a sound editor working overtime? Not in the budget. Yeah. I got some overtime this year, but they really don't like, especially union stuff, they do not like overtime. How can you tell if your stage is level? The drool comes out of both sides of the drummer's mouth. Good one. I have a Polish friend who's an audio engineer and a check 1-2. Check 1-2. Yeah, that one's pretty good. That one's good. The delivery, this is MCX. I didn't say you could not do more than one joke. So I feel like I've seen your name on here a couple times, and that's fine. Audio hurts. I could tell you a joke about Foley, but I never get the timing quite right. That's like you and most of the Foley editors I've worked with. Hey Tom, here's one for you. How tall is a sound guy? I don't know. I never saw one standing up. Why did the rapper jump on the track? They invited themselves. That's pretty good. I've seen that happen. Oh man. When I was running that studio, it happened. One of their boys would be like, "Hey man, I got something for this." And they'd get in the booth and it'd be like 2 bars at a time. And you'd have to stop and go back. And they'd think about the 2 bars they just said. Okay. Give me a little more pre-roll. And then it was just 2 bars. Finally, we get to 16 and play it back. And it's like, you didn't even do it in one take. So it doesn't sound consistent. Why do bagpipers walk away when they play the bagpipes? To get away from the noise. Oh, we're on our last. Oh, that's my joke. What do first assistant directors use for contraception? Their personality. Yeah. Man, some first ADs, when I used to do production sound, would be really cool. Like, you just take problems to them and they were like, okay, all right, let's deal with this. And then other ones, like, anytime I'd go to the first AD, they'd like, be like, oh, here we go again, sound guy. And it'd be like, hey, could we turn off this thing, just when we're rolling, like we'll just turn it off when we're rolling and then we can have like a PA cut it back on when we're cut. And they would just roll their eyes and be like, no, but it's not in the shot. Just turn off, like it's like a fan or something like that. Like we don't, like, can you, and it's just like I was asking them for their firstborn child. So I would say out of all those jokes, so this one had a lot of thumbs up. The Polish friend, who's an audio engineer, a check 1-2, was good. It has a lot of thumbs up. And the repetition of the check 1, 2 is excellent. So that one made me laugh, and it made me think a little bit more. And then the one, Allie. Is it Allie? Alex. I can't even read my own handwriting. Alex's was pretty good with the 2 reels documentary joke. That was good. But I think it's tough. This one, the Nadir Novelties Boom Up Utility Sound Mixer, Get in the Car, Who's Driving, The Cop. That made me laugh the most. So Nadir Novelties. I mean, the Check 1, 2 one was pretty good. And it's short. It's short, and it makes fun of Polish people, which is always good. And sorry to all the Polish people I just offended. So I'm going to say this one was really good. This was like a perfect joke. So I'm going to say Yesh MCX, you are the winner. And I'm going to now comment winner. And I'm going to say, please message me on Facebook to arrange shipping of your Faderport 16. Yeah, because you can look up my name on Facebook, and that's going to be better than me giving out my email or phone number to a bunch of randos. So, good job. Congratulations to Yesh MCX, if that is your real name, which I know it's not. So, giveaway completed. Done. Check that off the list. Thank you guys for your patience as I read all those. I'm about a quarter of the way through one beer, so this is a rip-roaring, heavy drinking night for me. Yeah, I love it. It tastes great. So at this point, let's open it up to other questions. I'm open to doing screen share of plugins, or I could show you some of the audience interface thing, which is kind of cool. That's kind of like, I'll probably do a full video on this, if I can get it over here. This is kind of neat, so you guys don't need to see my ugly mug on here, right? Yeah, you don't need this. So, super cool, and it comes with the SonarWorks calibration. It's like a trial of the SonarWorks calibration. SonarWorks is a software that comes with a microphone and has you do this IKEA type of thing where you like walk around, and it shows the same guy walking around, and you put the mic here and you play this, it plays the sound through the speaker, and then you do the next speaker and you move the mic to like 32 different positions, and it gives you this wild curve. And I've tried SonarWorks before and it's good, but it tends to overcorrect, I think. So I kind of did my own. So there's no correction for the studio, and then I've got the SonarWorks, which I think when this demo expires, I'm just going to let it go. And then I have my redneck correction, which kind of matches the dips and peaks, but is like done a little more subtly, I guess. And it's done with like an ear for how does this sound? Because you get used to a room, you get used to speakers, and then somebody changes it, or you calibrate it, or you change the calibration. It's like, what the hell is this? Doesn't sound right. Even though it's technically flat, you know, it sounds good. And I went for like I think I did the Dolby curve on this, which has a little bit more bass. So yeah, this redneck correction I have, it still has a delay on there, and the bands you can actually kind of eyeball it and match. But I also looked at Room EQ Wizard, so I've got everything pretty well connected. I don't have any correction on the height channels because I don't feel like they needed it. And the thing that SonarWorks suggested was just pretty. It just didn't sound great. It didn't sound as good as just leaving them flat. So this is cool because this is running through, the Auria interface. So I also bought a Blu-ray drive that works with my Mac Studio, and I could watch, Saving Private Ryan or whatever, my audio test movies are in 1080 HD on my big screen, listen to it in surround sound, but I can also mix in Atmos. And I mixed my first Atmos thing, which is a song that it's not really a friend, but he's like a professional acquaintance wrote and sent me. So I got to produce the the music and mix it in Atmos, and he came over and listened to it and was like, whoa, because it was like the first thing I've mixed in Atmos, and it was the first time he's heard his music in anything other than stereo. So that was kind of cool. And then I'm gonna go through the short family heirloom that I made for my channel, and I'll remix that in Atmos. And then I've got a couple other projects floating around that might be good Atmos contenders too. So yeah, this Audient Auria has been really cool. It's got like a little software mixer here, which I haven't really messed with too much. And then system settings, you can do custom headphone outputs, set your reference volume, crossover attenuation, dim settings. It does hook up to the external Dolby Atmos renderer, and then it's got AES routing and remotes. It's got an app, so it's very handy. It wasn't super expensive. It was like $2,500 or $2,600. So it was like right in the sweet spot of pricing where I can afford this, but it's not like buying a Matrix or the Carbon I was looking at too. But the Matrix, the Avid Matrix was like kind of the other option I was looking at, and this is quite a bit cheaper. So yeah, and then just kind of like an extension of 7.1 for me. So I read the Dolby write-up on Atmos, and I think I watched like one or two YouTube videos, but there's really not much content. So that's actually a good segue into like kind of what I'm thinking to do for 2025, which starts in 2.5 hours. Is I'm going to do a series on Atmos, and it's going to be presented from the perspective of me, which is somebody who has mixed in other formats and is new to Atmos. Like, I'm not coming in with like, I'm an expert in this and I'm going to bullshit my way through telling you guys. It's going to be me struggling and learning my way through stuff. I already have a pretty good handle on objects and beds. And the cool thing about Atmos is it's not a channel, it's not locked into a 9.1.4 or 11.1 or 7.1. Like it's kind of a special format that is very flexible. So it's kind of cool. I think it's actually great. And the re-renders are really cool because you actually mix in, actually I can probably, let me start up Pro Tools and kind of show you. I can show you visually like the Atmos mix that I did for this music, and I think I was working on an Atmos template for films. But there's not a lot of content on YouTube for professional Atmos mixing. There's like beginner Atmos mixing, like somebody who has Pro Tools, but if you had them maybe set up like a really advanced session, they probably wouldn't know what to do. And they wouldn't, like, they're like prosumer level. Like, they're not making a full-time living doing it. They're like kind of just, maybe they got a trust fund or something. Okay, let's do this one. So Atmos is like a big thing. I'm going to spend a lot of time on like a whole series of videos on Atmos, both music mixing and film mixing. And like plugins, I'm not super, you guys know I'm not, plugins are kind of like whatever. I don't really care too much about them. I've kind of covered the ones I want to. But let me go through the chat and just see what you guys are asking. Would you be open to doing short form beginner Pro Tools videos? Yeah, that's Master Nelson. That is an excellent idea. If you could expand on that, I got my handy dandy notebook and I can actually write down what you're talking about. Anyway, I'm not going to play this for you. I still need to work out the like details with the artist. Like I talked to him about, you know, maybe using this for my YouTube channel, and he was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. But basically you have like, so the internal Atmos render is really cool because it has, and I don't know if it'll, I had something cool right here. And why is this not? Oh, maybe because I have the, I think I have the playback engine. No, that's right. Maybe my IO changed or something. But anyways, you use, let me just check my IO real quick. No, that's right. And then Atmos internal render is good. Yeah, there's like the objects. And then this guy was an object, but it's not playing as one. You can actually automate, you can automate things to become objects, which is pretty cool. So I think I need to assign this to a different object really quick. Yeah, it's mono. And then you can go here, object toggle, and actually turn things on or off. And I think this is how I'm going to set my template up, because, you know, imagining like a film mix where you have a sound effects editor and they have cut these sound effects, you know, and they've done their best to just make sure the content's on the timeline. It should really be up to the mixer to decide what to make an object or a bed. And beds I'm going to treat like stems and actually bring them in as re-renders. So it'll be, I'll go through how I'm setting that up. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it, but just for a simple music mix with not a lot of tracks, the way I have this set up is it goes to the Atmos internal render, and then it comes back in as a 2-mix, you know, a stereo mix, which I have some like super basic, just 2-bus processing, like a multi-band. I can show you this. Multi-band compressor, and then like this is a mid-side EQ, just because I found that the stereo re-render was a little dull, you know, because there's not as much separation, and then a little channel strip, and that's it. And then obviously a safety limiter to bring it up to spec. So I've got a 2-track re-render, a stereo re-render, and then a Atmos re-render. I just wanted to check and see, but you can set it up to where you send all your audio to the renderer, and then you bring it back into Pro Tools as stems or a mix that you can print and just fire off. So that's how I'm going to set up my session, my film session. The music is kind of like, you can kind of do what you want. So yeah, so I'm going to be going through Atmos. I think the beginner videos that Master Nelson you're talking about, I think would be really good, very accessible. I think I'm also going to do some DaVinci audio tutorials. I've been getting more comfortable with DaVinci, and there's a lot of people that use it, so I feel like that would be good. It would be good to approach it from the perspective of somebody who is a professional trying this other software versus hey, I make travel vlogs, and here's how you just slap a bunch of AI noise reduction shit on everything and make it sound like, you know, Terminator made this. I'd want to approach it from like, no, here's how, you know, a filmmaker should approach this, not somebody who's just cranking out content to be forgotten in a week. Okay, so other comments here. Did that one. How do the 5.1 stereo down mixes sound? Like I said, I didn't listen to the 5.1. I was more interested in the stereo for this music thing. And then I don't remember if I used the direct render setting or not. I need to look into that. This is all pretty new to me. Steve George, Matrix and Carbon as alternatives. Yeah, I was looking at the Matrix, Avid Matrix as an alternative to this, but I liked the company. I liked their style is very like Apple, you know, minimalist, IKEA type thing, which is fine, but I mostly like the features on the Aurea, and it having some future proofing stuff enabled. Like it has a network adapter, I believe, maybe for Dante, and it seems like they've set stuff up to where they can, you know, juice it up a little bit in the future. Yeah, a template from scratch, a film template from scratch. I think I'm going to do it with very few plugins, like just basic EQ, like basically all stock plugins in Pro Tools, so that although the routing and everything might be tricky and complicated and it'll help people get past that hurdle, it won't require them to have FabFilter and, you know, all the other plugins. Like, it'll have spaces for you to add, and I'll probably leave in the comments like, hey, for insert number 3, make sure you add a noise reduction plugin, so that, you know, it kind of holds your hand a little bit. Okay, here we go. Master Nelson says shuffle, spot, slip, grid modes, useful keyboard shortcuts for sound editing, subtools. All right, I'm gonna write this stuff down. This is good. Shuffle, spot, slip, grid modes. Yeah, basic stuff like that would be good. I mean, I could do like a intro to Pro Tools. That'll be hard for me. When I was in LA and I was like tutoring people and like trying to train them up, that was the biggest complaint I got from people, is that I went too fast. And it's a big complaint I've gotten on my YouTube channel as well, is that I don't take the time to slow down and explain and repeat things. And it's because I have used Pro Tools so much at this point that it's really second nature for me. And so it's hard for me to think, well, yeah, but somebody who has just bought it or has maybe used it for a year, they're not going to know RNT. You know, the RNT buttons on their keyboard isn't going to be worn out from zooming in and out. They're not going to know tab to transient. And so that's a good idea. So thank you, Master Nelson, for that. How do you like music tracks on your mix session by stems? One for each instrument. So one for each instrument would be tracks. And I've gotten scores like that where it's 50 to 70 tracks per cue, and that's not stems. And the composer even is like, hey man, I'm sending you stems, and it's like 70 to 80 tracks. Like, you're just sending me all the instruments, and now you're wanting me to mix this as a music mixer. So stems should be combined tracks where it's like 10 to 12 stems. I usually tell people, like, give me 8 to 12. Once you get over 12, you're doing tracks, and like that's going to be a different deal. So how you combine the tracks and the stems: brass, strings, percussion, sub, bass, different synths, like you do ARP synth, pad synth, stab synth, effects synth, guitars, vocals, piano, like all the food groups that you would bust together. Just do that. And with Pro Tools, if you're mixing in Pro Tools, like you're mixing music, this session I actually didn't do any of that. It's just all straight tracks because I wanted to play around with making things objects and beds. I think the drums might be, yeah, those are routed somewhere. But like, this is super elementary level, you know, what like a beginner would do. But yeah, use the routing folders in Pro Tools if you're mixing your music in there, or Logic. I think you can do buses. I don't know if you can do routing folders or something like it in Logic, but something like that to where you just have your template set up to print brass, strings, percussion. Try to keep lead stuff with melodies separate so that I can duck it, or the mixer can duck it under dialogue. So that's how I like stems to be done. Advanced routing for dummies. Advanced routing for dummies doesn't, maybe just routing for dummies. That's a good idea. Thanks, Keith. A routing. Yeah, what is routing? I/O, that kind of stuff. Buses. Yeah, good content. Steve George says, that stuff is all over YouTube. Shuffle spot. Look elsewhere for great videos on YouTube. Steve, can you expand on that? Are you saying don't do too much basic stuff? Because I'm cool with that. I think that's fine. Let's see. What else can I talk with you guys about? I'm starting to get a little sleepy. It's almost my bedtime. I don't mind. Like, I don't have anything else going on. I'm not going out partying. I probably won't stay up till midnight. I'm trying to remember the last time I did. So I will talk about whatever you guys want, but once we get to that lull where it's like, it's time, you know, I'm going to sign off. So, okay, he says, yeah, basic stuff, there's a lot of good stuff. Meaning, do you mean there's already good content out there, don't bother making videos on it, or this would be good content for you to cover? Because I don't understand. Yeah, and the basic stuff is actually harder for me to teach just because kind of the way my brain works. Maybe I can show you Blu-ray test. Oh, this was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. So this is something I need to write down, actually. So years ago, the studio I was of the mixer at, I loved to go to the dub stage and watch films that I liked, like Saving Private Ryan, Fight Club, No Country for Old Men, Dark Knight. I'm trying to think of other ones. No, Once Upon a Time in the West is another one. I mean, there's so many good movies. Jurassic Park. I was never really into Star Wars. But I would love to go in there after, you know, everybody left and watch a movie. And I still do when I fly down there to mix. Because, you know, it's like a movie theater. And you just get to watch whatever you want. So the way we had to set it up was you have your player. Mine's right here. I'll show it to you. You have your player. And, well, theirs was like a real Blu-ray player with an optical output. So the optical output went to a decoder, and then the decoder fed, I'm trying to remember how it was set up. It fed decoded audio through an optical, or maybe it was analog, to a Multimax monitor controller, and then that went out to the speakers. And then you could also shunt the audio to Pro Tools and run it through Pro Tools. So you could, like, you know, get the signal in the Pro Tools so it could play out that way. So I've, you know, with the aux, was it aux IO? Is that what it's called? Or input? Yeah, with the aux IO, you have these audio bridge channels. And so what I've done is take this Blu-ray. I have a program called Blu-ray Player, something from Mac, and set the audio output of the Blu-ray player to Pro Tools Audio Bridge, and then bring that into Pro Tools so that when I play a DVD, when I play Saving Private Ryan, it's in Pro Tools, and I can, like, check the levels on Insight and I can solo the left surround or the center channel. Like, there's so many cool things. You could even illegally record a WAV file to use as a reference and just take with you to a studio. So don't do that. Don't break the law. But I'm just saying, getting the signal into Pro Tools from a Blu-ray is really cool, and it allows you to really, you know, listen carefully and like just use your studio as like a playback medium. So yeah, that'll be a short video, but it's kind of cool that you can do that. You could really do that with Netflix too. Netflix will play on Google Chrome in 5.1, and you could bring that into Pro Tools. So that's kind of neat just to check things out. So yeah. Okay, Steve, thank you for clarifying that. There's a lot of basic Pro Tools. Yeah, you don't need to cover basics. A waste of your knowledge. Okay. All right. Point taken. I still might consider it just if I run out of ideas. Yeah, so that's cool. Bill says he does the same thing with Blu-ray player. So that's kind of a cool thing. I'll be doing that. I'm also, I think, going to be recording some sound effects with a pretty cheap field recorder, the Zoom F6. So I've got some weapons I'd like to record. A couple handguns, a 38 Special, a 45 caliber ACP Glock. I have a 30-06 I can record, a 12 gauge, a semi-auto 12 gauge shotgun. I mean, the 1022 isn't going to do much. Oh, if I got subsonic 22 LR and put a suppressor on it, I can actually record like bullet impacts, which would be cool. But I want to do 32-bit floating point for gunshots and then process them so you can hear the difference between a raw gunshot, you know, it's just like a little pop in a can, versus a processed like sound effects gunshot. But still using, you know, the real recordings, like not adding cannon blast to them or anything, but like just processing the guns to sound like they do in movies. I think that would be cool. And to get me out of the studio. That's the other thing, is if I'm not working on stuff, it'd be nice to get out of here. So there's some ideas for content that I'll do. And then, yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you guys for tuning in. I think, I mean, it's almost 10, so maybe I'll go till 10 and then I'll sign off. You guys have anything you want to talk about? Any questions you want to ask? Let me just go through and see. So Acentus, we did do the jokes, and the winner was Yesh, I think MCX. So I think you can rewind the stream and check that out. Let me just make sure I covered everybody's questions so far. Next time you'll be somebody to be your assistant. I don't need an assistant. I don't have enough work for that. There's times where I get super busy and I'll hire somebody to help. And then there's times where it's like now, where I'm just kind of waiting for stuff to come back around after the holidays and things slow down. The whiskey between each joke would have been really tough. Luckily, you guys are not making me drink. So I'm going to go to bed, and I'm not going to have a headache, and I'm not going to have to get up in the middle of the night to go pee. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. The one beer is plenty. The bourbon and mystery liquor, this in this flask right here, this stuff right there, that stuff, I just can't handle that. Other stuff for next year, maybe reflection stuff I could talk about. I mean, overall it was a pretty good year. it's just a weird time in the industry with stuff being pretty slow. So I'm very fortunate and extremely thankful to have worked as much as I did this year. Actually, financially did very well, but I didn't feel super busy except for a couple stretches. So it's kind of interesting. Like, the less stressed I am about work, the more money I make, and the easier life gets. And I don't know, it's just kind of, it seems like letting things happen versus forcing them to happen is the better way to go for me, which has been a really tough lesson, because I am like, I want to get stuff done. I want it to be done fast. I want to just like dig in. And I've found that the more I just kind of like sit back and not worry so much, the better things tend to go. And really, the better I do working on stuff. So I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm not super worried, like, if work doesn't pick up and the industry stays down, which it is right now, I would much rather switch gears a little bit, like still do the YouTube and still work on, you know, stuff when it comes, but kind of like shift a little bit to, you know, construction or auto repair, something like that, and just not worry about, well, yeah, but the film industry is so slow. Like, I'll be fine. I'll be able to find a way to make stuff work, and I'm not going to worry about it, and it's going to be great. So, see if there's any other. Yeah, I mean, if there's other stuff I could gear wise, what else did I buy? I bought the channels for Atmos. I bought the S1. I bought the interface, computer. The computer was pretty expensive. Couple of like video things. I got this stupid microphone that all the influencers wear. I just think it's cool. The design is cool. I guess I could plug them. Plug old Papa DJI. They didn't send me anything. I just bought this. This is the let me see what it's called. DJI Mic 2. So here's the, let me get my booze cam and set this up here so you have a nice closer idea of what this is. This has actually been pretty cool. Okay, phone cam. Okay, like there. Will it focus? Probably not, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. So DJI Mic 2. I bought this just because the design was pretty neat. It's got like little rubber feet on the bottom, and it's got a magnetic charging case. So like the receiver goes here, it's got 2 transmitters, and then it's got a battery built in so it can charge this stuff. And it's just hooked up to my GH5 through like an 1/8 inch, you know, aux cable. Oh, let me back out of here. How do I get out of this? Nope, I don't want any of that stuff. Just get me out of here. Let me try to hit this. Okay, cool. There, I just wanted you to see the little bar going across. I wouldn't use this in any professional capacity, but, you know, for YouTube stuff or maybe corporate stuff, if you're really close to it, seems like pretty good. You know, it's not too bad. And the price was right. So I got that, and I got a little camera and some other stuff for YouTube. And then most of the money was spent on the computer and the Audient Aurea interface. So I think with that, like, I'm pretty good on gear for a while. And there's no plugins I want. Obviously, Avid's getting my money every month for Pro Tools, so that's kind of a sunk cost. But yeah, I think I'm good on buying stuff. So I'm not really planning on getting some gear. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off. Happy New Year to you guys. Oh, just Cal Mackay says, I worked on a thing where some influencers handed me those DJI things. The worst thing is when I'll see these videos where they treat them like stick mics and they're like, hey, look at this, like and subscribe. And then they like put it in somebody's face like it's a stick mic for a reporter. Like, it's better than using the, you know, the phone mic, but it's like, get a stick mic or something if you're gonna do that. I like this because I can just pull it out of the case and I clip it on, and I don't have to think about it. It's not like a professional thing where you have to slap a 9-volt battery in and you have to scan for frequencies and put the dipole antennas on, and you have to set the input gain on the mic, and you have to set the receiver gain, and you have to run that into a preamp and make sure the preamp gain on that is, no, it just goes to the camera and it's fine. I don't have to worry about it. So yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for more stuff next week. Probably I'll start diving into Atmos stuff, or if you guys have something else you'd like to see, feel free to check it out. Thanks for keeping me a little bit busy on New Year's Eve. I'm gonna hit the hay. It's just about 10 o'clock, which is kind of when I normally go to sleep, as sad as that is. But yeah, enjoy the first of the year. Hopefully you get to spend some time with family and friends, and look forward to a prosperous new year with work or whatever professional and spiritual, personal, familial expectations you have, goals you have. It's a good time to reflect also on the past year, and kind of, even if you haven't made a ton of money or worked on a lot of projects, you've definitely grown just because you've put the time in to, you know, I mean, you're here watching my crappy YouTube channel, so you obviously care about, you know, trying to learn stuff. So you should be proud of that. So yeah, Happy New Year, and I'll